In today's section, we'll be going over billing submission process, the invoice submission process, different types of reports that are available to you, how you view attachments, and correcting rejections. So when you first log into the billing application, this is the screen that you'll be navigated on. You have the investigator expert vendor dashboard, hidden cases, a rejected items report in case you have any rejections needing correction, and approved invoices report. So we're going to be starting off with the creation of the billing items themselves. Once you're within the billing application, you have two ways to navigate to the investigator and expert vendor dashboard. The first is through this tile right here, just by clicking on it. The secondary way is clicking on the hamburger icon in the top left. That's the first one down, investigator expert vendor dashboard. This dashboard will already be pre-populated with the cases that you are currently working on. So once you've navigated to your dashboard, you can see all of the cases within here. You click on the little pencil on the left-hand side. You'll be redirected to the case information screen. Now this includes generic case information such as the case tracking number, defendant's name, the attorney's name that you're performing the work for, the attorney's bar number. You scroll down and navigate to the Enter Expert or Enter Investigative Services, depending on which one you are. So we're going to start off with the Expert Service. Once you click, you'll be redirected on a pop-up to the Add Billing Items page. You want to select the event that you're billing for. We'll do Discovery Review. You want to enter a generic service description of what the work you had completed. So after, you want to select the date and time that your work started. When you click into here, there will be a calendar that pops up. You can navigate between months. You're able to select the date. For example, today we're going to go with April 16th at 2:10 p.m. So the timings are down here, right around the clock, hour, minutes, and AM and PM. You want to click Done after you've done it. If you click off, it will not save. You do want to click Done. And once you do, date and time is pre-populated. As you can see, the date and time work ended is also pre-populated to the same timing as the first one, at the same date. So you want to come the other side, select the calendar, modify your timings. So we did 2 hours of body cam footage review. So we'll be changing it to 4:10 p.m. Click Done. Now, as you can see, hours is automatically pre-populated to 2. Since experts rates vary per expert, you're able to enter the rate that you're approved for. So for this example, we're going to do $150 an hour. You want to click off, and you'll see the amount automatically gets populated as well. You have the submission date, and if your agency has multiple investigators or experts within the agency, there was an email that went out where you would respond with the names of the investigators and experts under your agency. We'll have it added to the billing application, and you just pick the employee name. Once you do that, there is a supporting material upload. You do want to attach any PDF documentation or anything. A discovery review does not require it, so we're just going to click Create. As you can see now, on here, this report was completely empty before the billing item that you just created gets populated. You can see the event, service description that you typed in, the case tracking number, and all of the information that you had entered. You'll also notice that payment status goes into pending invoice submission. It means it's not attached to an invoice yet. Attorney can't certify the work until it is, and you will not be paid until it is attached. So anything that is pending invoice submission, you still have another step to complete before it gets over for attorney certification. So far, does that make sense, everyone? Or does anyone have questions?
Yeah, so this here, once we put this in, right?
Mhm.
How did the attorney get this to be able to say, oh yeah, they did this work and check it?
Yeah, so right after you do this step, you'll create an invoice. Then once you create that invoice automatically goes over to the attorney for certification.
Okay. So when you
So
said, oh, that goes to the attorney, it goes to that attorney email?
yeah, they receive an email every time you submit an invoice, and also the attorneys use the same billing software as well, so they're able to approve it through the software.
Okay.
Yep. Does anyone
So,
else have any questions so far?
Yeah, this is Claudia from Hanson's Renaissance Court Reporting.
Mhm.
For us, so I know we fill out that paperwork in the court, and the attorney has to sign some paperwork, and then we send that over to you guys with our invoice. So are we no longer sending that to them where the court reporter is signing that paperwork and then they're signing the paperwork?
Neil, could you answer that question?
can you repeat it? So the owl got
Yeah, no
half
worries.
there.
Hey Neil,
Yeah,
so you know that paperwork that we fill out that IDSD where we transcribe the audio, how many hours the court reporter worked
right.
on it and how many pages, and then
Yep,
we send it over to the attorney signs it and sends it over to you guys. Are
right.
we still filling out that physical paper
Nope,
where the court reporter signs and the attorney signs?
no. This will
Okay.
replace that. And hopefully that this will be much more streamlined, easier. You can just, once we get over the initial, well, this is a new system and it's going to be, time consuming and irritating, like most new systems. This will actually be a lot easier because with those PDFs, as you know, sometimes we have to send it back to the lawyer or
Right.
send it back to you, or it
Yeah.
bounces back to us from finance or accounts payable, and then you're adding on weeks and maybe weeks and weeks before it ultimately reaches a point of disbursement. So if we can
Okay,
avoid
so
all that delay, it should be a
Okay,
lot
so the
easier.
attorneys will still send over the estimate over to you guys. You pre-approve it, they send it to us, and once we do the actual transcription, get our final invoice over, that we're only uploading our invoice, correct? We're not going to
Right, well, you're
upload
up.
the
We're still do the request like they're doing the request now to get the initial pre-approval. So we'll send that out and say, okay, we pre-approved 10 hours for this service. When you're ready to bill it, that'll be done through this system that Sartaj is describing. And then you input the data, the information, what you did, when you did it, and that kind of thing, the same as you would have done on that PDF form. And then the attorney gets a heads up. And we sort of jumped the gun. I think Sartaj was almost there. And the attorney then will be notified that you've submitted an invoice. And then I'll
Okay,
let,
so you don't want us uploading the transcript or anything like that, just the
right,
amount that is needs to be paid.
right. In
Okay,
the event
gotcha.
there's some kind of a question or something, or we need additional verification, we'll contact either you directly or work through the lawyer or something. But yeah,
Okay.
normally we don't need any of that.
Okay, cool.
Yep.
Okay. I have a question. This is Alma Hughes Grubbs from Michigan Reliable Polygraph. Is there any way to put the attorney's P number on the approval so that we don't have to chase them to get their P number?
So you're not entering in their bar number information. That will already be entered into the system.
Okay,
Yep.
okay,
The
okay.
number, Alma, is on that form that we send to you. When you get the pre-approval, that there's been a pre-approval for like, hundreds and thousands of dollars that we pay. The attorney's number is actually on there.
Is it?
The
Okay.
clerk in the system, right, instead of having just the 11111, it has 11, 111. There is no comma in our bar registry that we use with the state bar. So an attorney's P number would be like P11111. You'll see that number though on that form if you look. There's a 5-digit number. And that's
Right.
the attorney's bar number. Yeah, but
Okay.
it just looks like it'll be, 11,111. But forget the comma, but that's the bar numbers. But it is on those forms we sent to you.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's good to know.
Neil. Neil, do you hear me?
Yeah,
Yeah, it's Bob Bishop at Future Media.
I know.
Hi, I'm great. When does your office first see this this interactive form instead of the PDF? When the attorney firm sends it to you, or do you get it at the same time that the attorney firm does?
I'm not 100% sure what you're asking, but I'm sure Sartaz can answer that better than I
Yeah.
can. Yeah.
So if I got it correctly, you're asking when Neil receives the invoice that you just submitted?
Yeah, that would get it as well. Yes, go ahead and answer that if you would, Sergeant.
Yeah, so first, the attorney receives your information. Once the attorney certifies, then it goes over to Neil. So Neil isn't able to view anything before the attorney certifies.
So just like it is now, basically, the PDF is replaced by this interactive form, but the process remains the same. It goes once we get the form, we fill it in, it goes back to the attorney. They correct or deny or accept and send it up to Neil.
Yep. And the attorney always receives constant email reminders that have items that they need to view. So that is also a perk of the system. And Yada, you raised your hand?
Yes, so I want to know, I think this is a Neil question. You want us to get away from sending y'all an invoice, but how, on an accounting standpoint for my company, how do I show that I did a submission for invoice to you all as the company? Because we still go through accounting audits to show that we sent the invoice to y'all. Do y'all have a plan for that?
Yeah, you
I'll-
jumped the gun a little bit. It's
Yep.
actually a question for Sartaz, and he has that in the presentation today. Yeah, he'll get to that for your own invoice, your own internal system. You can upload that, but I don't want to step on his toes.
Yeah, we're jumping the gun a little bit, so I'm going to continue on with the presentation. Yada, your question will be answered.
Sartaj, may I interrupt? My name is Randy Commissaris. My question is, if we work multiple days for 2 hours one day, 3 hours another day, 30 minutes another day, are those all separate invoices, or are you going to show us how to roll them all into one invoice?
Yeah, you can attach them into one invoice. I will show you how to do that.
Thank you.
Real quick question. How do we get to this website? Are you sending like the link to this website and then our username and password if there is one?
Yep. Your
Okay.
username will be your vendor number, and your password, you'll receive an email on Monday once your accounts are created. You set your password through that, and then we'll also email out a link to the application with itself.
Okay.
Yep. All right. So continuing on with the presentation. So as you can see, you're able to see your total hours that you've billed. So we billed for 2 hours up here. We haven't billed for any mileage on this case, so that shows a 0. The total amount for all of your entries. If there's more entries in here, there'd be more. So we're going to go ahead and enter another service. We're going to go to mileage. So when entering mileage, there are different requirements, so the fields do change. You give a service description of where you came from, where you went. So we'll do Right. We'll just use that. You enter in your mileage. So for example, this rate will already be pre-populated to 0.70 cents. You enter in how many miles that you took. So we'll say it's 12. It'll automatically create the amount. You add the origin and the destination. So you can just type in Royal Oak. And then, great. Once you do that, you come down again to the employee name. You select who is responsible for doing the work. As you can see now, there's two uploads right here. There's a map upload and there's a supporting material upload. But you do have to attach the mileage form still. And you can attach a map. You do have to attach the map, actually. I'm going to go ahead. Attach. When you click on choose file, it'll open up your file explorer, and that's where you choose the files from. As you can see here, I uploaded a sample map and as well as the mileage form. You will go to create. If there is anything missing within that is required, for example, if we do discovery review again, then we put 150, and let's just per se, we completely forgot to enter in the service description and the hours. When you go to click create, it'll give you an error that the service description must have some value and the name must have some value. And once you've completed the form, you're able to move forward. If you do want to view the documents that you uploaded, you're able to click on it. Right here, the viewer will pop up with your document that you uploaded. For example, if we went to the sample map, that would be different. And now we do have a sheet, Excel sheet that will be uploaded to our website with billing item requirements. So this is a sheet. This will tell you if there's a required attachment that's needed, or if there's any special requirements for that specific menu item. So for example, if we look at mileage right here, you need to upload the map and mileage form, and you need to enter in the origin and destination. Now this sheet is subject to change, so don't be the sheet is subject to change. They will be uploaded.
Well, we still are there with the mileage and the traveling and that kind of reimbursement. One, if they choose for the mileage reimbursement, we don't want the entry, the origin and the destination to be too vague. We don't want it too specific either. We want it just right. So you could do major intersections, but we don't want, for example, the alibi witness's house at 123 Main Street. We don't want any of that, what might be privileged or, preferably confidential information. So it could be Woodward an 8 mile to Woodward an 11 mile or that kind of thing. Major cross streets are fine, but if we don't want it that it's too vague either, drove from Detroit to Lansing, even though it may be supported on the map, it's better to have a little more specificity, left the Guardian building in Detroit, went to the Capitol in Lansing, or something to that effect. I just don't want to leave the impression that, vague can be operative for that.
Yep.
Real quick question. So with us it being a court reporting firm, I know it's a little bit different than like doctors and stuff. What would our billing item type be, since we're not really like an expert or anything like that? We're just transcribing.
You can put in transcribing. No, that's fine.
So you're able to
do it on other, right? That would work as long as there's something. There's an option to choose other, so you can just put in the transcription.
Okay, we've just always had issues with like the description, so I just want to make sure I'm putting the right thing.
Yeah, if it's something, and I know with the court reporters, it had been an issue sometimes with finance, because if it indicates, appeared somewhere, then they want to know where. Right?
Yeah.
If it's just transcribed something, well, that's one thing. But in some of the invoices we've seen over the months, it would say something like appeared for the video transcription and transcribed it. Well, then if there's an appearance, they're wondering, well, where did you go?
Yeah, it's
Even
because
if they're
the
not
appearance,
seeking
the
live.
attendance time is the time it took the court reporter to transcribe the audio. That's
Right,
just
it's
how our
the
billing code
attendance.
is in our system.
Right, attendance will, that's where the confusion's been. Attendance implies that someone was attending something somewhere, right? So the
Mhm.
question that arises in finance is where? And if that wasn't there, we'd have to send it back and get the clarification. Better if you just leave that off and just put transcribe, at our office or whatever it is.
Okay, yeah, I'll
Yeah.
modify the invoice then, because on our system, it will automatically just say attendance. I
Right.
can put something saying
Something
attendance.
different. Yeah, and call me later or email, and we
Yeah.
can work it through. Yeah, as I say, that's not a major thing, and sooner
Okay,
or later we get those, we get them processed and paid, hopefully, so.
okay.
Yeah, thanks, buddy.
hmm
And if you don't see your event that you want to select specified within this list, there is a other event where you're able to specify what you did within the description. So if nothing matches within the software and you're not able to tell by the sheet, you can always select other event and specify the description. We're going to add one more billing item. We're going to go ahead and look at expenses. So with any expenses, for example, we're going to use travel expenses. You would type in the service description what the expense was. So total amount. And once again, select the employee name. You do have to upload a supporting material upload for the expenses, which is just the receipt. And then once you go ahead and click create, you'll see that billing item created right here. As you can see up here, your total hours, the total amount that you worked on the case, and the mileage that you're billing for is all displayed within here, including the total amount across all of your billing items. It automatically gets added in. Now with this, regarding the question earlier about your personal invoices according to accounting, you do have a personal invoice upload to the right-hand corner. Now, this does not mean that you do not have to enter in information within the billing app, because we will not be able to see the personal invoice upload or that if anything is submitted, unless it's submitted individually through the billing items. Once you go to and click on the button for the personal invoice upload, you go ahead and choose your file. We do want you to name the document as your invoice number. So for example, I'd name this invoice 4321. You click on upload. And you raise your hand again?
So you said to put our invoice number on there. Does this mean that we're now gonna start seeing the invoice number that was paid, or are we still gonna continue to see a bunch of CTN numbers?
No, so once you upload your invoice within this, when you come over to create an invoice, this vendor internal invoice number required if uploading a personal invoice, this is where you put your invoice number at. So for example, we did 4321 for the invoice upload. So this invoice that I'm currently making now with these items attached is linked to your personal invoice 4321. That's how you're able to identify it. Does that make sense?
So my question, the way we get paid currently, when they send over the payment for that invoice, are we gonna be looking for our invoice number? Or are we gonna continue to see the CTN numbers that on those invoices that's been currently coming from the county? I never can identify what's actually being paid because I have to look for the CTN number, and as simple as everybody would like to think that other people's system might be, I'm asking, is this system gonna help us identify what invoices being paid by either our invoice number or our or is it gonna continue with the CTN numbers?
We'll always have the CTN, Yada. That's the individual number they can use for any of the felony cases that arise in Wayne County. So that's the primary number. Usually, like on those advices that you get from accounts payable on the Thursday before a Friday disbursement, it'll have both numbers. If you've submitted your own internal invoice, we've attached that then to the PDF that we send to finance. Then accounts payable captures both numbers, and that should be on that notification they get. So you got a notification yesterday, look, and you'll see the CTN, which is that 8 digits -01-E1 or -I1, and then it'll be followed by your own internal number. It should be, so there should be, I remember one day you asked me about, what's that whole batch of numbers?
Yeah, I'm
batch of
still
numbers is.
asking that question because we've yet to see that, but I'll get with my people that look at those invoices because we're still identifying in our own system the CTN to the CTN, not to my invoice.
Right, you'll be able to go to each of these cases from your own dashboard, and you'll have your own voice that you've uploaded there, and you can see the status of the payment request, to see if it went past the attorney, past me, past finance, and then you'll have a better idea where that is in the payment scheme of things. I don't know if that helps. It should be easier, and you can always refer back to it. It's not one of these catch can advice notifications that some people get on Thursdays, if they get them. And I know that's been not necessarily reliably done, but that should be getting better. And this is a system where you can always go back and pull up the case and check the status of those things.
You'll be able to match and figure out which one is attached to which invoice as long as you enter in your internal invoice number into this column. It shows up on the report that you get, the reconciliation report. So as long as you enter your invoice number up here, it will be on the report. So you'll be able to match it through that way. Once you've created your billing items, we want to notice that all of these are in payment status of pending invoice submission. So you still have to attach these to an invoice. Once you go ahead and click on Create Invoice, it will redirect you to this pop-up. You can either select everything that's within here to bill it all together, or you can bill it individually with one to an invoice, depending on when you're entering the information and when you're billing it out. So you click on Select All. This will automatically select all three of these items. You click on Calculate Total. Before I do that, I do want to point out total amount is empty right now. So when I click Calculate Total, it'll add up all of these billing items. It'll populate the total amount for you so you don't have to do it. You want to select your account code, whether it be investigator or expert, since we are billing for expert level services. And go ahead and select expert. Do you want to certify that the services and expenses that you're submitted were rendered in this case and no part has been previously paid nor will be requested for such services? Do you want to make that certification? Once you go ahead and do that, I'm just going to enter our invoice number there. By the way, this vendor internal invoice number, if you do not have your own personal accounting software and you're not uploading an invoice, this is not required. It's an optional field. For someone who is uploading personal invoices, it is required. You go ahead and click Create. your invoice will be created. Now there's two ways to tell whether your invoice is created and whether your billing items have made it onto the invoice. One, your payment status is submitted or it's changed to submitted for attorney certification instead of pending invoice submission. As you can see here, once we submitted all three, all of these changed from pending invoice submission to submitted for attorney certification. Now, if you scroll down, you do have a pending invoices section as well at the bottom. Now, this will show you your invoice information. You have the invoice date it was created, your payee vendor ID, total amount on that invoice, your account code, case tracking number, our internal invoice ID, as well as your vendor internal invoice number. So this is the number that you entered within the create invoice section under here. Now, once again, this is not mandatory if you're not uploading your personal invoice. So you could submit billing items without filling this field out.
I have a question. I'm sorry, this is Chris Flowers. I'm just wondering, are there any mitigation efforts in play right now as far as to support that approval process? Because I'm just thinking about something that happened to me where I submitted an invoice and the attorney was out on like maternity leave or something like that, and it took forever for the attorney to weigh in on that invoice. So are there any mitigation efforts in regard to those scenarios?
Yes, so the attorney does receive an email once initially you create your invoice. They also receive weekly emails of if they haven't gone in yet and they have something for approval, they'll receive weekly emails regarding that. In the case that the attorney is not, in the case that you described where the attorney is missing for a couple of days, you can reach out to us and we will be able to push it past for you with Neil's approval. So you can reach. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, it does. It does. I mean, I just wanted to make sure that I could reach out to someone, in case an invoice was stuck in limbo for whatever reason.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, it'll never be stuck within the submitted for attorney certification payment status. Hopefully, the attorneys are able to approve it within a week, and if not, we will be reaching out to the attorneys to make sure they're approving.
Okay.
I have a question.
Go ahead.
Are the attorneys going to get training on how to approve these invoices on their dashboard?
Yeah, the attorneys already received 2 training sessions. We also have office hours next week. And actually, they've already received 4 training sessions on how to approve the invoices.
Fantastic. Thank you.
Yep.
I have a question.
Yeah.
As far as the employees, is there a way that we can add or remove employees, and if you guys need to do it, is there a time frame and when that will be done? Like, say, for instance, if I needed to add an employee or take one away from the system, do we have the ability to do that, or you guys are doing that?
So currently you do not have the ability to do that.
Okay.
If that is a future enhancement that you would like to see, we do have a submission page, which I'll go over later on into the presentation, where you're able to submit support tickets on top of any suggested enhancements that you can see to the application. We
Okay,
do
so
look at.
if you
I have a
guys,
question. I apologize. Excuse me.
oh no, I was just to follow up with just I guess the second part. So if you guys would be in charge of adding and removing employees, is there a time frame on when it would be done?
Yep. Once you submit the ticket or once you send the information over, within 48 hours, the employee will. Usually we do it within 24 business hours, but within 48 business hours, 100%, it will be added within the system or removed, depending on your use case.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
I had a question, if I may.
Yeah.
there's instance where in the past, the time that was originally allocated, there's a need for additional time. Would this form require us to reach out to you guys prior to that time? Was there a provision there on the form itself?
You reach out ahead of time, and it's a good point for me to remind everybody, under our policy, there shouldn't be any work done unless there's been a pre-approval or unless you're doing it pro bono, because there's no guarantee or assurance that we'll pay you, right? So you always want to clear it. And by that, if it's a substantial amount, we want the attorney to make a supplemental request. So if I approve you, that we'll pay you 3 hours, and you know that you're stuck in the middle and it's going to take 10 hours, then we would expect the attorney is working with you and will make a supplemental request for those extra 7 hours. What we don't want to see is that we approve 3 hours and then 3 months later you come back and there's 15 or 20 hours that you're billing for, because that's the stranger thing to us, right? It's not within the policy, and the attorney should know better and all the vendors should know better. So what we ask is that you make and it could be done by a phone call. We've had that happen. The attorney, hey, I'm stuck in court. I've got to get more hours for this investigator or that expert or this, and no problem. Go ahead and do it, and we'll play catch up tomorrow or on the weekend. But what we don't want is that a month later, you come back and there's multiple additional hours, right? We don't sweat the small stuff. If it's an hour over, it's not necessarily a problem. But we don't want to see multiple hours beyond what was pre-approved. Does that help?
Yep. Thank you very much.
Okay. All right. Thanks. Yeah, sure.
All right. So up to this
question from me. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off.
No, you're good.
One last question from me is, after an expert submits an invoice into this new system, do you guys what's the projected time frame for payout of that invoice now? Because I would only assume that this new application you guys are expecting to kind of streamline the payouts as well, right?
Yeah. So once the attorney approves individual billing items, it comes over to Neil. And then once Neil's has approved it, it goes over to our finance department.
Well,
So
I understand the process. I mean, I guess what I'm getting at is I want to know if I can expect to be paid within a week of submission or 2 weeks of submission. You know what I mean? It just makes it a little easier
6
to.
weeks.
Yeah, so we're still
6 weeks.
following the current county schedule for payments.
Okay, good. That's what I was trying to get to. Thanks.
Yep.
Remember, Wayne County pays every other week. So if you submit something in and it's all pre-approved by finance and everybody's happy on Monday, that doesn't mean you're going to get a check the following Monday, because the county only issues the disbursements every other week. So as a vendor, if the accounts payable didn't get the materials prior to their cutoff date on the Wednesday preceding a disbursement date, then it might be an extra 2 weeks before you get it. They don't do it, they don't just cut checks on a given Monday or a given Wednesday. They have their own schedule for the county due to the volume of vendors and things that they have.
Understood. Thank you.
Backing up just a little bit, when the form is transmitted to the attorney, and the attorney is, as someone said, was in the hospital or whatever, and that attorney firm receives a weekly reminder. Is that weekly reminder generated by the interactive form, or is it? I mean, how else would it be? You guys aren't even aware of it until such time as you get the attorney's approval, right?
No, so we know when there's an invoice that's been submitted and just sitting there what's submitted for attorney certification. It automatically, the system will pick it up and send the email to an attorney, to the attorney on the case.
One reminder too is the attorneys are using this system for their own billing. So they'll be aware. It's not something where, an email to the attorney gets lost in their inbox or spam folder, or they were busy that day. When they go to bill, they'll know that they have an invoice waiting for them. They get an alert in the system when they're logged in.
To this process
Thank
of
you.
Can I
Sartaj,
ask-
if you want, I can show briefly what their attorney dashboard looks like. So they can kind of see how it's unavoidable.
here,
Okay,
I'm gonna stop my screen share, and
okay.
then you can share.
So here I'm logged into the attorney view. So when they log into the system, if they want to go and see their cases, they see this here, and that 0 shows that they don't have any cases that or invoices that they need to certify. But if they have 1 or 2 or 3, that number will go up. And then if they click into the case, into the dashboard, they'll have a list of certifying items here. So as long as they're logging into the app and billing, they should see it. Unless they purposely ignore it, it's really right there for them.
I have a question, if I can. When will this system go into effect?
It goes live on Monday.
Monday.
Yep.
So if we have billing that we're working on right now over the weekend, we're going to have to switch to this on Monday after everything we've done, or are you going to give us some grace period of a couple of days or whatever? And I'm asking because I'm submitting some billing on Monday, so which am I using?
Neil, can you answer that question?
I'm not entirely sure of a grace period length, if there is one. I think obviously with any new thing, we want to get it done. They want to get everybody into the system and work. Don't rely on a grace period, I guess, is the first point. The second point, if you're halfway through, you've got it already and we're waiting for the attorney to sign it. And I have been getting a bunch of payment requests this afternoon. Get it in quickly. I mean, I could approve it tomorrow, right? And send it off to finance. So get them in as soon, I guess the main point is as soon as possible. And then I wouldn't count on, well, hey, they're going to give us lots of time, because we haven't said we're going to give you lots of time. It's going to roll out Monday, and they expect everybody to be logged in and registered Monday, or as soon thereafter as possible. So get it and do it. But if you have things ready to go now, let's do it. Go ahead and say, I'll be around, waiting for them. So hopefully that answers it. I don't have a specific answer. I haven't been given that kind of definitive answer.
I have a quick question. I noticed on the investigator sheet that he was pulling up on the monitor here, and I was looking at it, and I was kind of reading the boxes, the information that's in there for the different for the attorney and the attorney the attorney number and all that kind of stuff. But I did not see nothing for a vendor number. Like on the other ones, we have the vendor number we gave by the county or the city. I don't see none of the vendor numbers, or we don't have to put none of that on there anymore, our vendor number or nothing.
No. So your vendor number will be username to your account.
Okay.
So it automatically gets attached. And when you go to create an invoice, as you can see up here, for payee vendor ID, it's going to be your vendor number, which is matching your username.
Okay. All right. So I don't have to put my company name up there no more. The vendor number takes care of that.
Yeah, no, it's automatic.
All right.
Okay. Right. There was a question in the chat that will each investigator be submitting their own billing? Now that is up to you if you have multiple investigators under one firm. There will be one account per vendor. So if you have one vendor number, everyone will be billing through that. That's why we have the different employee names. So you're able to differentiate who did the work.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. And then up to this point, regarding entering a billing item and creating an invoice, is there any other questions?
Not that I can think of right now until I actually start trying to do this thing on my own.
We do, the end of the presentation, we do have a demo site available if you want to check it out over the weekend, how to build. Go ahead, their practice. Demo site is a shared account with everyone, so please don't enter any confidential information that you don't want anyone else seeing. But we'll go ahead over that at the end of the presentation.
Right. Oh, and I think somebody said it earlier, but I just want to make sure. So when we get ready to do our building and stuff, is this site going to be already set for us to key into and to send, or is it something individual that we have to download?
No, you don't have to download anything. It's a link. It's stored online, so we'll send you the link to the application, and then anywhere you have internet access, you're able to access.
Okay.
Yep.
All right.
All right. So moving forward, I did go ahead and tell our developer to change the payment status of these items. I'm going to go ahead and reload the screen so you're able to see. All right. These are the different payment statuses after you've submitted for attorney verification. Once an attorney has certified the item, you're able to tell which stage it's in by pending IE approval. All that means is it's awaiting Neil's approval, that billing item. If it goes to approved IE, Neil has already approved the item. And once it's in finance approved IE, that means you should expect payment within that 2-week period when the next check run gets cut out. Brian, could you go ahead and reject one of these billing items so we can go over that? And in the meantime, while Ben is rejecting, I'm going to go ahead and take you to the other pages that are available. So you have hidden cases, which you're able to hide a case. You do that by going back over to your investigator expert vendor dashboard. You select the case that you want to hide. So for example, hide this one. You click on hide old case. And then ask if you're certain you want to hide this item. You click on hide old case. Once you do that, the case will appear in your hidden cases. It won't be in your vendor dashboard anymore. So for example, your -001, the -01 is missing from this list, got transferred over to the hidden cases. So if you have any old cases and you want to clean up your dashboard from what you're currently working on, you can go ahead and hide those. You also have a rejected items report. If you have any rejected items, which we'll go over on how to correct them, you can select it through here. It tells you the number of rejected items you have, the information of the items that were rejected. So for example, Brian has already gone ahead and rejected our item on -03. So it has shown up within the report, it's the mileage. So now what you want to do is you can either copy the case tracking number directly from here. You can navigate back to the investigator expert vendor dashboard, make the correction. So either you can paste it right within search box, and once you press enter, it'll narrow it down to that case, or you're able to just locate it just by looking through this list. So if we navigate to the case, we can see this last item is rejected. In order to correct the rejected billing item, you come over to this edit pencil at the very left-hand side. You go on to the item that you want to correct. And for example, your rejection reasoning is shown here. So we got rejected for it being the wrong mileage. You click into it. Now, once you know why the item was rejected and what you need to correct, everything is already pre-populated from your last entry. So if you need to modify any information, you just go ahead and modify. We'll put this at 20 miles instead of 12. And then as you can see, amount is already updated. You want to click apply changes. Although it says row updated here, still within, and if you check within here, our mileage is still 12. So all you have to do is it's already saved. This refresh button in the top left-hand corner of your browser, if you click that once, you'll go ahead and see all the updates that you've made or modified it. So now we've modified the entry to 20 miles instead of 12. The change is reflected here. Amount is reflected. You can see the payment status has gone back over to pending invoice submission. So if an item is rejected, you have to resubmit it onto a new invoice. So you want to go ahead, create an invoice. This will be the only one available to be selected. You can either select it just by clicking on the checkbox, or you can do the select all button in the top. You calculate your total. You select the account code. And once you've made the certification, and you, depending on if you have an internal invoice number, entering it up in here, you go ahead, create, and the item is back to submitted for attorney certification. So that's the process for correcting a rejected billing item. Is there any questions regarding this process?
So if I understand you correctly, if an item is rejected, you have to create a new invoice. So this item might be $20.50 or $2.50. So that'll get paid separately as like a $2.50 payment.
Yeah. Yes.
Right.
Oh,
That's a bright idea. Okay.
All right.
Yeah, we made it that way so that if an item got rejected, we don't want to hold up the other items to getting paid. You know what I mean? So if an item needs corrections, it won't stop all of your other billing items to moving through the process and getting you paid faster for those items.
No, I understand, but it certainly makes it a little more difficult for us to figure out what was left out of our own invoicing.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
You can always enter that if you're uploading your internal invoice, you can always enter that internal invoice number again. So you know that this payment is associated with this invoice. So in the example we gave, we named it 4321. I did not enter that in. So it doesn't show it here, but it would show if it's if you entered it in. All right. Navigating to the last page, your approved invoices are. So this is all the invoices across all of the cases that you've worked on that are approved for payment. So for example, this account, we have 3 approved invoices, including the one that we had just created. The total amount, if a billing item is rejected, will automatically be modified to reflect the rejection. So in this case, when we did it, it was $923.40. Since we manually rejected it, or since we manually approved everything, rejected that item, it's not reflected within here. But once you actually go through the process, this will subtract that $14 or the $8 value, automatically be reflected on here. You have the finance approval time. So the time or the date that it was finance approved. From this date on, it's that 2-week period on the county's check schedule. So that's how you're able to determine when you're about to get paid. You have the original invoice date of when you had originally created that invoice. And other information is just the account code, CTN, and actual invoice ID. All right. Then we do have two buttons in the top left corner here. One is a Jira help desk, and one is training materials. So if we navigate over to the Jira help desk, what this is our Indigent Defense Service Desk. So if you're having any troubles with your account and you need help resetting the password, you can find the information within here. If you want to know how to navigate your dashboard or you're saving a weird error, You can find that within here. You have our related resources, including our YouTube page and the actual billing app resources. If we navigate over to the attorney billing resources, this page includes all of the billing attorney training material. So how-to training videos for the attorneys, how-to training videos for the investigators and experts, including a full billing application walkthrough, everything that I've presented today just within a short 10-minute video form. You have some general videos that you're able to view, editing a rejected billing item. You have access to our live trainings. Now, this live training link will go up onto the website after we're done today. You have any documentation that's available. And you also have our practice application. Now, this is what I was mentioning earlier. We have a practice application where you're able to go ahead and log in and play around with the app itself before Monday. This is the attorney login information, and then this is the investigator expert login. So you navigate over to that billing app. I opened it into a new screen. I'm already signed in, so that's why it shows me already signed in. You notice here that you don't see the banner, you don't see the training materials link. That means you're within our practice application. You have the same, everything is the same within here. There's pre-populated cases that you're able to bill on in case you want to try it out for yourself. And everything's already set up for you. And you can find this on our website under attorney and IE billing training. At the very end, practice application, you click Oracle billing demo, and your login information is right here, the username 123456, and it includes the practice account password as well. Now I'm going to navigate back over to our JIRA. So with our JIRA, here's where you submit any of your support tickets, or if anything gone wrong, you've received an unknown error that you don't know how to deal with. You navigate to this page, click on need to raise a request, contact us. Once you click on that, it'll open 3 options. You go to investigator and expert portal. You click on it. You can suggest enhancements to the billing application. And if you do, we do look at these and we do implement suggestions from our users. So please, if you see anything that needs improvement or something you like to see added to the billing application, you can suggest that within here. But we're going to navigate to the questions and issues. So within here, you specify what your issue is. And if you need to possibly describe more, you're able to do it here. If there's any screenshots that you took of an error that you want to attach, you're able to do it right here through the attach irrelevant files. And we look at these on a daily basis. Your response will be made to your ticket within 48 hours, 48 business hours. All right. And by the way, we navigate to the JIRA just by clicking the JIRA Help Desk button. So you're able to navigate directly within the application. And go to our training materials, you're able to do that directly through the application as well. Just clicking on training materials will take you to our website where all the training materials are located.
And the main website for all this is what again, sir?
So I'm not sure if I understand your question correctly. The main website as in application for to bill in, or where the training materials are held?
No, for all the billing and so forth.
Yep. So the link will be sent out to you on Monday after your account creations. Just the website, and the link will be sent out.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Sartaj, I have I guess the same question I asked earlier. If you could open the invoice vendor dashboard that you did before, I'm just wondering, so you opened, what was it, the Tony the Tiger one, right? And so if you want to add discovery review more hours on a different day, that's just go back to enter expert service and it'll populate more than one date for the same kind of service.
Yeah. So for example, we did this under the expert service, the discovery review. If
Yeah.
we go and we can add another one of those in, as long as the timings don't overlap.
Okay. And I guess my other question on that. So if I'm doing 6 or 7 entries of discovery review expert on different days for different periods of time, I can create a running tally and it doesn't get erased. It stays in your system until I submit it, or do I have to do it all at the time I'm ready to submit?
Yeah, no, you can do it you can bill on a consistent basis. You don't have to do it right when, like, attach all the discovery review items onto one invoice. Basically, when you're entering in a new discovery review and you're putting in new time, this will create a new item. So there'll be 2 discovery review items within this list. I'll show you for an example. All right. It's gonna go. So as you can see, there's another discovery review item right here. You can attach these on separate invoices if you want to attach it on the same invoice. If you completed this work on the 16th and you want to bill for it on the 16th, you're able to do that. And if you completed this work on the 24th and you want to bill for it on the 24th, you have to do that. You don't have to wait till you're done working on the case to bill all at once.
Okay, but I could wait until I was done and I could walk away from the system and it wouldn't be erased. It wouldn't be lost. Okay.
No, it wouldn't be lost. Once it's shown within this table, everything is saved within the system.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
All right. So we already went over approval process, but just so everyone knows, once you do make your invoice submission, it goes over to attorney certification. Then it goes over to Neil, like the approval. Then once that's done, it'll go to our finance team. Then after that, it gets transferred to accounts payable, and then the treasurer's office gets the check. Regarding the rejection process, Neil will reject it, and it moves directly back over to you. The attorney can't reject your billing. The investigator expert, so once it comes back here, we already went over the process to correct it, but it would have to re-go through the entire process of the invoice submission back to the attorney certification. So the attorney does have to recertify, then it comes back over to Neil, and then so on, moves along the process. And then we have the link to our JIRA help desk included within here. There will be an email that goes out. We'll include a link to JIRA help desk, link to the application. This email will go out on Monday. Then if there's any questions around policies, you can contact idsdwayne@waynecounty.com. And if you have any questions regarding your W-9 billing address or any electronic account information, please contact idsdfinance@waynecounty.com. All right, now that we're done with the presentation, does anyone have any more questions? Or would like to see something again?
How robust is the system as it stands? And are we expecting that it's 95% there, 100% there, or something less than that? Or how would you describe the effectiveness of the system as it stands right now, as you're about to roll out on Monday?
Yeah, everything works. It's 100% effective. We've tested it out thoroughly to ensure that everything works. There's not been one time where the application for the attorneys has gone down or something like that. So it's always online. You can access it at any time. And it should help speed up the attorney certification process, since they're already billing through the same application. They just have to click 1 or 2 buttons to approve all of the work. So it should speed up that process as well.
Okay. And one other thing
Thank
real
you.
quick, and just in case I missed it from earlier. When they send us these request forms to work on a particular case, that case will be already in the system. So when we pull up to put our work in, we just have to look at the cases to be working on. I think you kind of said that earlier. Is that correct?
Yeah, it'll automatically be added within the system.
Okay.
We upload once on a daily basis in the morning. So if you get assigned that day, the next day, the upload will be within the system.
Okay. So cases previously that we got signed, like I got signed a case last week. That case will have to be updated into your system Monday then, correct? That you have it in. Okay. All right.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Your previous cases all will be added within the system.
Okay. All right. All right. I just wanted to make sure I heard that correctly and I didn't really forget because you was giving us so much stuff here. So I want to make sure I got it all. All right. That's good.
Yeah, Sartaj, let me jump in real quick. One point of clarification, they should not be emailing the IDSD attorney at waynecounty.com or waynecountymi.gov. Either that's for the attorneys. So that would be a separate vendor issue. If you have a question, IDSD Wayne, or contact me, and you know, I'll push you off to to our IT people. But yeah, avoid the IDSD attorney. Yeah, that's pretty focused. I'm getting word that May 12th will be looking only for online billing. So as far as someone had the question about a grace period, and let's try to get anything done. Any PDFs you have outstanding that you're working on, get those in now. And we're not going to take them after May 12th.
That helps a little bit, Neil.
If there's no more questions, that wraps up our presentation for today. And we encourage you to go ahead and go on our attorney site to go look at the demo. We'll send that out. Send a link over to Neil for the website. And everyone have a great day.
Okay.
Which program will we
forward to-
see? The recorded programs, the one from last week or this one?
Yeah, so you'll see this one. This one will be uploaded.
Okay.
Yep.
Let me clarify my clarification. Anything that you're working on now, we'll take the PDFs. For cases where we're doing the pre-approvals on May 1st or after, those will be online. And then we're not going to take PDFs after May 12th. So get the PDFs in now. But if I do a pre-approval on May 1st and I authorize funding for 100 hours for you to do something, that billing, if you've done it, you know, within the next 100 hours, would have to be done online only. If you have something you're working on this afternoon or tonight or over the weekend, we will still accept a PDF. Hopefully that clarifies all that.
Understood.
All right. If nobody has any more questions, I'm going to go ahead and end the meeting.
Okay. Thanks a lot.
Thank you.